Today I'll be talking about the question, how do auteurs from contrasting geographic and social contexts present female side characters in adventure drama movies, specifically looking at their character creation and development throughout the movies. I will be exploring the creative process utilized by auteurs, their respective backgrounds, key elements of pre-production, and analyze a few features of mise en scène. The two movies I've chosen to present this are the animation Princess Mononoke and the movie Interstellar. Princess Mononoke was released in 1997, directed by Hayao Miyazaki. A fascinating tale which depicts themes of spiritualism, the struggles of industrialization against the preservation of the environment, and feminism. In the story, the protagonist, Ashitaka, searches Japan to remove a curse placed upon him by a hateful boar god. In this search, he finds the deer god's forest, in which there is a struggle as humans working in an iron factory want its resources. They fight against spirits and gods from the forest who seek to preserve it. Interstellar, directed by Christopher Nolan and released in 2014, explains a story taking place in a near-future dystopia. Essentially, food is running out due to the planet not being able to sustain any plant growth, and soon humanity will crumble itself. As a last resort, NASA opts to send people to space to find the next planet for humanity to live on. Both of these auteurs come from different geographical backgrounds, and this has certainly had an impact on the way they choose to present the themes within their movies. So what is auteur theory? The theory itself was born during the height of the French New Wave, firstly introduced in the critic's article La politique des auteurs from the French magazine Cahiers du Cinéma. Importantly, François Truffaut and André Bazin's opinions, in which they generally discuss that the directors of the movies are the ones who should receive the credit if they are the ones controlling multiple factors of the film. Auteur theory would continually evolve with time. Nowadays, it is easily attributed to any director that has a particular style or recurring themes present throughout their movies. Hayao Miyazaki and Christopher Nolan are no exception to this. Miyazaki is a Japanese animator and director, often considered the forefather for the development of animation, especially as reaching a global stage and not only staying rooted in Japan. He was born January 1941 of four brothers. Growing up in the heels of war, he states that some of his earliest memories are of bombed cities. He had to evacuate multiple bombings as a child. His father had been in the army previously and manufactured airplane parts that were used in Japanese planes during World War II. His life before creating movies is crucial to the creative process he has, especially when developing personalities and themes within his movies. Specifically, the relationship that he had with his mother, which had a great impact on his portrayal of women in his movies. The maternal relationship he claims was stronger between he and his mother than any of his other siblings. Most of the female characters found throughout his vast filmography are often considered to be representations of his late mother. She often questioned the socially accepted norms within Japanese society. These roles which could be well depicted by the three submissions. The first, that young women were to submit to their fathers. The second, married women submit to their husbands. And third, elderly women submit to their sons. Women were expected to take care of house duties and cooked, norms which derived from the Meiji period where men were solely important, even going as far as arranging marriages for a man to lead a family when there is no male heir. Nowadays, a lot has changed, as nearly half of the Japanese workforce is made up of women. Christopher Nolan is a highly regarded British-American film director. Most people will know multiple of the blockbuster movies he has directed in his vast catalog. Born in 1970, he lived between England and the US, finding his passion for film at 8 and being heavily influenced by Hollywood blockbusters of the time. In his early 20s, he would develop into the flourishing storyteller he now is. Little is known within the effects of his childhood, but something that certainly leaks into his movies is his experiences as a parent and the relationship he has with his children.
As a father myself, a father of four children, and my oldest is a daughter, Flora, and I think I really strongly responded to that element of the script.
Miyazaki makes most of his movies through simple ideas or pictures, then builds the story. But his past clearly leaks into his characters and character building. Similarly to his mother, he often seeks to disband or subvert the current societal expectations within Japan. Princess Mononoke, or San, is essentially the second protagonist of the movie. Firstly, her character design and costume is important to how her character is perceived. Wolves, in some Japanese mythology, were long considered to be the messengers of gods. Of course, she is a part of a wolf family and wears wolf fur, but her actions are contradictory to simply being a sort of servant for the gods. She doesn't fight for the will of others and fights only for the things that she really believes in. Her first appearance in the movie not only shows her tenacious side, but her unwillingness to submit. Submissiveness is not a common character trait within Miyazaki's females. Furthermore, Miyazaki's characters are capable of balance. His characters are capable of growth and change, and do not only stay stubborn to their thoughts, as seen as she chooses to save Ashitaka although he foiled her plans. Another thing Miyazaki does in the representation of female characters is the method in which he shows their relationship to the opposite gender. As the relationship between San and Ashitaka grow, they are never forced into a romantic position. Although other characters do imply romantic connotations, and it is seen slightly throughout the end of the movie, it is never the main trait of that female character. Miyazaki changes the generic tropes of femme fatale, damsel in distress, or heroic girl, but finds new ways to show these tropes. Miyazaki creates these independent characters that are strong-willed, resilient, but capable of having feminine and sensitive qualities. Another character that subverts the stereotypical expectations of women is Lady Eboshi. Miyazaki isn't necessarily for the idea that good and evil can be such black or white. Lady Eboshi may be considered the antagonist of the movie, but her intentions are still good. As further presented by her costume, she strongly resembles a shirabioshi, who during the times of feudal Japan were performers or prostitutes dressed in men's clothes. The subtle hints of her past help portray the image that no matter their background, women can still become great people. Nolan's approach to movie making is very peculiar as an auteur. He has interesting plot lines and characters. One of the most prevalent things is his manipulation of time. His characters often share similar motifs, unshakable yet rational. Either way, often attributed to Nolan is poor capability of making multidimensional female characters. The stuffs in the fridge trope is often utilized where the harm of a woman is what drives the male protagonist's actions and narrative of the film. This is not the case in Interstellar, where he has a much more personal connection driving his message.
I have children myself. It's something that obviously is very important in my life, and so that was really my point of interest.
What's often important is who these protagonists are paired with. Nolan often makes counter characters to help drive the protagonist in the right direction. These are characters who question actions and help the protagonist find their way, as seen by both female characters in Interstellar. Murph is essentially the secret protagonist of the movie. Nolan's portrayal of a woman is especially important through her character growth in the movie. Her father is given the task of essentially saving humanity, and she is left as a second thought in the audience's mind. However, as she matures and grows older in the movie, she becomes more and more important to the plot's conflict and is eventually the one who saves the day. In the same situation is Professor Brand's daughter, Dr. Amelia Brand. Daughter of essentially the front man of the whole operation, she carries big shoes to fill.
Dr. Brand.
I knew Dr. Brand once. He was a professor.
What makes you think I'm not?
Well, I didn't think he was cute either.
Easy to assume that she'd stay in her father's shadow throughout her life, but she is eventually the one that finds a new planet for everyone to live on. Nolan sets up the female characters of the story in unfavorable circumstances to make their prevail over difficulty much greater, especially when considering that they had to overcome their respective fathers' legacies, doing not only what a man could do, but going even further than that. Moreover, on this point is the relationship between father and daughter. Murph grows from being dependent on a male authority to tell her what to do.
You want to talk science? Don't just tell me that you're afraid of some ghost. No, you got to go further. You got to record the facts, analyze, get to the how and the why, then present your conclusions. Deal?
Deal.
To growing to an adult where she has succeeded Dr. Brand and no longer has a male influence. Miyazaki and Nolan's female characters certainly share some qualities. Their unbreakable wills and achievements are particularly important, as they've all had to overcome hardships, although they've come in different forms. Nolan's characters overcoming the feats set by men, while Miyazaki's characters break societal norms of women in Japan. Both auteurs have different influences as to how they choose to portray their female characters. Nolan's experience as a parent to a daughter, and the influence of Miyazaki's mother on him. Overall, both auteurs have different reasons as to why they portray their characters in such a fashion, but both are still effective in representing their respective ideologies.